from the attack to lay out their demands. They're calling the attacks the Blacklist.
The Blacklist.
The Blacklist.
Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my final video in the Splinter Cell Blacklist Perfectionist difficulty video walkthrough. This is mission 11. Mission 11. Jesus Christ, tongue, do your job. Site F. So this is one of my favourite missions on the game. And the reason for that is I've got a thing for snow, and I don't know why. I really like snow in games. And I really like snow in Splinter Cells because it just seems to add to the fury of the stealth. The second reason for really liking this mission is from the start to finish, you can pretty much do it all in stealth, comfortably, without having any situations that you don't really agree with or enjoy the stealth moments. And you might be wondering what I mean by that. Well, the stealth in this game is finicky at times, and it doesn't work perhaps as well as I would like it to. And I think it's all down to the difficulty. I think it's down to Perfectionist, because instead of balancing the enemy's awareness and things of that nature and how easily they spot you in scenarios where realistically they shouldn't, they've just increased the level of alertness. And what happens with a lot of these harder difficulties on games is when they just increase these numbers on these spreadsheets and put it into the AI, they don't come across the scenarios where it breaks the game. And it breaks the game for the worse, where a dude sees you when he's looking in a different direction and you're in complete shadow. And it doesn't make any sense. And while these opportunities are rare, they do happen. And the only thing I can chalk it up to is literally the difficulty and the way it scales. So if you're playing on an earlier one, you might never come across those issues. So for you, that might not be a problem at all. But especially on the harder difficulties, a lot of components that make the game good can fall apart under duress of just the sheer difficulty of some of the scenarios. And this is one of the levels that really holds up, because from start to finish, it can be really, really clean. And I have no doubt that every other mission on the game is that way once you figure it out, but this is just one of those levels that felt natural. You know, instead of forcing it, everything just fell into place, and I really enjoyed it. So we snuck in the first room, we pressed the button, we snuck out, we're cruising over here to go into these air ducts, Mission Impossible style, going through the fans. And we're coming up across an area that's going to test a lot of people's dexterity and their patience. Because you can remember when I said earlier in the videos that Sam is a bit of an arsehole for moving a little further than you wanted him to, or not as far as you expected, or just being a little awkward at times. Well, this is where it's going to really punish you, because there's lasers, and if you touch them, you set off an alarm. So you don't want to touch them. And these moments must look so good on paper, because when you play them, all it does is remind you of how little control you have over Sam at times. Like, there are a couple of games that do platforming really, really well. And then there are games that do other things really well and have smidgens of platforming in them. And like this, you see that? I was so paranoid. Look how little I'm shimmying. I'm barely touching the analog to make him do that, because I don't want him to overstep his margin and touch the lasers. Such a stressful encounter. But the next one is probably the trickiest. And it's just because one little mistake on the analog and you've ruined it. And also the fact that you're moving the camera changes the perspective, and it can be difficult to keep track on where all the lasers are and where they're all, you know, estimated to go. And just those moments where you want Sam to move around a pipe and he moves around the wrong side and ends up tripping a laser. It's those moments that you talk about with your friends where they weren't game breaking, but they were annoying when they went wrong. Like when you get to that part and you hold B to slide down, you slide directly into a laser. And it does happen. But there's your checkpoint. There's only one more sequence coming with a couple of lasers in it, and it's nowhere near as awkward as the one we just did. So drop into the server room or whatever the hell that is. Get into this vent. And from here on out, it should be smooth sailing. There's your exploration bonus, and through this door there's going to be a dude with red goggles. And because I couldn't get him to play the ball with me, I just grab him, hold him as a shield, and then dump him back in the room you came from. If you dump him in here, none of the other guards should see him, and it should enable you to keep your ghost bonus. I shut the door just in case. And what's going to happen here is when you get round the next corner, two of the guards on this corridor are going to start talking. When they start talking, you should be able to do this without being spotted. If you get spotted, you got unlucky, just try again, you should be okay. In this room, there's one guy on our left. He's going to walk into our room and towards our right. As soon as he stops looking towards us where we can realistically start walking, start walking. And what will happen is the game is really cheap here, because as you move towards the waypoint, a lift opens and there's a dude in it. So instead of walking towards the waypoint, sit behind this little bunch of boxes. What will happen is he pops up, Mr. Fuck You, and then this guy is going to walk back into this room, and you're safe from both of them. And what you want to do is, as soon as the guy on our right in the elevator, if you're listening, and you should be, as soon as he gets back in the elevator and he buggers off, we can then go to the elevators and use them. This guy stands there, and then he's going to patrol back into the room we came from, so he's not a threat. And as soon as I start moving, see the arrow moving now, getting back in the elevator. Oh, the guy just turned, I can now move. That's how you know you're safe. And then just come through here, and then climb out into the elevator shaft. So there is some dead drops and some collectibles, but once again, this guide is not focusing on picking up all the stuff. It's focusing on getting you through the game on the hardest difficulty and not killing people. And I must say, I do prefer killing people on this game because Sam has a super cool knife. And it's the same with Chaos Theory. I just loved stabbing people in that game. You know, you lost points, it wasn't as clean, but Splinter Cell games really nail shivving dudes. It's fun, and it's just, there's something lethal about being in the shadows and just taking out a bunch of armed guys without anybody knowing you were there. It's a cool game. But once again, you want to scout the path of the lasers so you know exactly where not to put Sam. And on this one, just bear in mind that Sam, oh my goodness, I had such a pain with him on this part. Because he just, like then, I didn't press grab. I was holding right on the D-pad, and for some reason it took the inputters up. And again, like, what are you doing, Sam? Stop climbing. I just want you to do what I'm asking. Like, every time I climb up here, folks, it's my analog not doing what I want it to do. And I don't know how I didn't get hit by a like then. Just I'm pushing towards that direction, which is up on the pad, and the game is taking the inputters to climb. And at this moment, you can imagine I was not best pleased. Oh my goodness, I might have said a few harsh words in Sam's direction, because it's not what you want when you're dealing with an environmental hazard like this. Why the fuck would I go up? There's no reason I would go up. I'm dancing with death. There's a laser there. You know, at a certain point, you've got to admit that it's not human error anymore. It's the game and its inputs. And that is one of those moments where whoever designed up to do the job of A was drunk on the job, because it's not good enough. Like, I would rather have it as one and not the other. You can't have both. You know, why give me a button to go higher when another button does it, you know, contextually? It's stupid. It's completely stupid. Word of warning here as well. When you start abseiling, occasionally there'll be a guard directly below you, depending on how fast you went down the elevator shaft. The good news is, if he sees you and you have to restart, the pattern will reset when he's not there. And all you do, folks, sneak over to this pillar, wait for them to finish their conversation, and you're going to follow the fatty into this next room. You're going to completely skip this lobby. There's a ton of big dudes, ton of arseholes. You don't need to mess with any of it. So, one guy goes in here, we're going to follow him. Sneak all the way up to this box. I believe you can go up against cover when he moves away. And what we're going to do is, he's going to walk to our left. When he walks to our left, we're going to mantle directly over the box and start creeping to the right. If done correctly, no one will see you, no one will detect you, and you've just snuck through one of the most intimidating rooms, and no one even knows you did it. So now that you've done that, you can come into this little office, get in the vent, and when you drop out of the vent, you are effectively in the last stealth section of the entire game. This is one of the tougher rooms in Blacklist. The reason, you have to do 3 objectives and then activate what you've done in 1 checkpoint. I'm not too sure why. Luckily enough, the rooms are designed in such a way that you can do this without needing a checkpoint, but they would have alleviated a lot of frustration by giving you one after doing 2, or perhaps giving you one after doing each of them. And I'm not asking for an easier game, guys, I'm really not. I'm just asking for them not to have me redo, 5 minutes of something that I've done before. Because I just don't think it's necessary, personally. And the problems I had was B. I couldn't do B. I can do C, that leads directly to A, and get out perfectly without anybody seeing me. They lined up beautifully, but I just could not, for the balls on me, link those 2 to this one. So my logic was, I can't do this one. Every time I try, this one catches me out. So if I do this one first, I can then do the others. And the irony is, the other 2 can still be done, but the pattern for them is different. Because when you do it off the spawn, the routine is easier because everybody's moving the way you need them to. When you do it after doing this one, the pattern's completely different. So one of the things you have to react to is where people are, because they're not where they were if you do them first. So this is the same every time I tried it. There's a drone coming past here to our left. When the drone comes past to the left, the guy over there comes this way. We have to wait for him directly in front of us to turn around. When he does, we can walk out of this office area and we can turn right onto that corridor that we came from. The only problem is, because we've knelt here for a week, the armoured dude is now on the corridor, so we can't go directly down here yet, or he will see us. So come up against on the sofa, wait for him to turn around. Soon as he moves, we're going directly where he is, and there's a vent to the left on the far wall. Make sure you're as quiet as you possibly can be, because the armoured guys have got hearing like bats. They're assholes. Here is the vent. This is going to lead us into number C. So this is the easiest. There's one guy patrolling, and there's the armoured guy on the corridor that goes into the room adjacent. What you want to do with this dude is you want to follow him around the table. If you're quick here and you're confident about your ability to walk quietly, you can hack it now. You have more than enough time to hack it before he turns around. My problem is, at this point in the recording, I was shitting my pants, and I get very, very anxious and I choke. Especially when there's no checkpoints. Take a checkpoint away from me, I'm a nervous wreck. So instead, I wait for him to go to the other side of the desk, and then I hit the computer. Second one down. Move directly into the next room. The guy on the left can kind of see you sometimes, but usually you're too far in the vent for him to care. This is going to lead us out into a corridor where there is a fatty patrolling, and he will always be on the middle area. You can see him on the map. He's looking away from us, he's going to turn around, and he's going to go down this corridor. And what happens is there's water on this floor, so if you follow too closely behind him, he will hear you step in the water, and that's the end. So what you want to do here normally, before I choke, is you can go to the vent and get in it, and as you can see, you've got more than enough time to do it. But once again, because I realise the checkpoint on this mission, I cowered it out. But it's not a problem, because if you go in this room, make sure you shut the door or he will notice the door is open. You can actually come out of the door just at the side of him and then go to the right into the vent. And he's going to continue his path and reset back to where he started from, and you shouldn't have a problem. So they are your 2 possible ways of getting in this vent. The other one would have been quicker, but what can I say? I bitched out. So in here, climb out. And what's going to happen is the next room has a vent. The vent leads to behind the curtain at the sound stage / recording area. When you open this grate, it's going to trip the pattern of the soldiers in this room. The guy who says capture, you'll notice on the map, he's going to walk all the way around, stop in front of the podium, and he's going to start reciting his lines. As soon as he starts talking, you can cross this room. Try and dash. Dashing seems to help. You don't have to, but I would recommend it. Once you've done it, go up against cover on here, dash across to there, get back in the vent. Now that everything's been tripped, we need to go back into that conduit that I used when I bitched out against the fat guy. To do this, the only threat now is the dude in the corridor, and he should be, hopefully, either on the far side or in the middle bit. He's in the middle bit, so we can now go back in the door. And you have done the final level of this game, of Splinter Cell Blacklist. The only thing left to do after this is the final boss. So there's a little turn off here, and this is the button that gives you the checkpoint that stops the blacklist. So there's a whole bunch of cutscenes coming up. There's also an opportunity to execute a certain person with the Fifth Amendment, or the fifth echelon like directive. I can't remember the exact terminology. You want to do it because you have to do it. Actually, scratch that, guys. I don't know if you have to do it, but it's the way that I've always done it, so it's the way that I'm going to recommend you do it. So this is an interesting moment. Sam takes out this guy. Everybody else gets shot. You now have a gun for some reason. And you're going to run forward towards the waypoint, and it's going to lead us to a one-on-one versus Sadiq. He shoots Briggs. We have to go to Briggs. Even though Sam Fisher, couldn't give a shit about him earlier on and said you always have to focus on your mission. And this is the boss fight with Sadiq, sorry. So this is really cool. I didn't expect it, and I like it a lot. So what you have to do is the power keeps going on and off in this area, and you have to use the cover to go cover to cover, cross the distance to Sadiq so that you can take him down. And every so often he's going to move. And it's literally just this cat and mouse chase where you have to use your stealth skills that you've learned throughout the game to get to him and beat him. And on my first playthrough, he killed me in a cutscene. And he'll kill you too if you don't realise what's happening. And the reason it happened is there's a QuickTime event that pops up ever so subtly during the animation, and because I was too busy watching them fight and like, oh, come on, Sam, kick his ass kind of thing, I didn't press it. So when it came up again, I thought it meant tap it, and I started tapping A, and instead of pulling the knife, the bad guy pulled the knife and he stabbed me. So, word of warning, if you fuck the QuickTime event up, you have to do the full fight again. And this is not the longest fight. It can be done very quickly, especially if you're confident and you know what you're doing. But at the same time, it's unnecessary and it's annoying. Like just then, if I was ballsier, I could have probably ran at him and took him down. But I didn't, because I was being paranoid. But luckily enough, he moves very close, so all I have to do is wait for the darkness, and then I can go and take him. So what happens here is, it's going to ask you to push the gun towards him and press the trigger. So just hold the analog, as soon as the dot's on him, shoot him. At first, I tried to shoot him in the face, but it doesn't work, so just aim wherever you can, and then carry on. And then this bit happens. So, Sadiq runs away, and it tells you to walk towards the waypoint, which is over there near the plane. And he ambushes you. But because I know he ambushes you, I turn the camera to look behind me, and we're actually going to see him spawn. So if you watch closely... you see him? He comes out of thin air, man. The guy's like a beaver or a mole, just comes out of the ground. And wait for it. It's going to be on his hip here. You see it? Oh, I've already missed it, sorry. There was a QuickTime event then to grab the knife. And if you don't do it, you die. So, bear that in mind. But that is the final mission. That is the final ghost. And that is the ghost achievement. If you followed this walkthrough, you should now be getting the achievements for beating the game on Perfectionist, Realistic, and Normal. And then you should also get the achievement for not killing anybody. I've already got those because I did those in my first playthrough, so you will not be seeing them pop. But that is the end of my walkthrough, guys. I hope it helped. I hope you enjoyed it. I have no idea what I'm doing next, but if it's a popular retail release, I'll probably be covering that. Final Fantasy VIII is going to continue. Metro will be finished. You know, just keep your eyes on the channel and keep supporting me, because every single person that watches the video and takes the time to show their appreciation, is the people that keeps this channel afloat. So, as always, thank you for watching, and you take care now.